Good evening and welcome to Western Mass News at 6 o'clock. I'm Sarah Gurnelli. Chris is off tonight. It was another hot day out there for sure, and this hot heat is sticking around. Janna, you mentioned we hit 91 today.
So far, Sarah, that seems to be the high temperature here in Springfield, though Westfield a little warmer at 92 this afternoon. The good news today, though, the humidity was not nearly as oppressive as it has been, so the heat index didn't get quite as high. Now, the National Weather Service did drop the heat advisories for most of us, but it still continues through 8 p.m. for central and eastern Hampden County, and I do not expect that to be reissued for tomorrow. So right now it's hot, but it's, not terrible outside. We have a lot of clear skies, some scattered clouds here and there, especially farther to our south. Dew point has risen back toward the middle 60s, so it is still feeling a bit humid, and it is putting our heat index up to about 91 right now. But there's a breeze out of the north-northwest, which is trying to usher in that less humid air. It's feeling much more comfortable in the hill towns right now, some lower 80s through Pittsfield and Cummington, but still 90 in Westfield, and then upper 80s from Orange down to Palmer at this hour. Dew points are beginning to drop throughout the high terrain and getting up into Franklin County. Still a little muggy here for the lower valley, but dew points should fall to the low 60s later on tonight. Now, skies remain mostly sunny this evening, and they should stay mostly clear to partly cloudy throughout tonight. All the wet weather is remaining closer to the I-95 corridor as our cold front continues creeping its way southward. So we'll have some scattered clouds overnight, might get a few upper 50s in the high terrain, but most of us will be lower to middle 60s. Not quite as muggy, but still a little humid at times, especially tonight and then early tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon, feeling again a bit more comfortable. We will have a lot of clouds, but temperatures get back to the upper 80s, even to near 90 again in the lower valley. But the humidity is back to more moderate. We'll have a fairly dry weather day. There's a slight chance of a shower south of the Mass Pike, but we're really not talking wet weather chances until early next week. We'll talk more about that in just a couple of minutes. Sarah, back to you.
All right, now President Trump's task force briefing for the coronavirus pandemic. Let's listen in.
It's pretty good. These are numbers that nobody has seen until just recently, and now they're just coming out. These are numbers that are leading, I guess, stock market people. They're very smart people. I know many of them, and they're seeing things that they don't even believe. So the manufacturing sector is booming, and the production index is at its highest reading in a long, long time. The economy generated over 9 million jobs in the last 3 years, a record by far, and 12 million more jobs than experts predicted. So there you are. You look at that, and that's a record, and it's a record for the quarter. We had over 9 million, substantially more than 9 million jobs. So those are incredible numbers about our economy and how it's coming back. It's coming back very strongly. It's coming back at a level that's far greater than anybody anticipated. And we're very proud of that. And I give a lot of credit to all of our people, Steve and Larry, and we'll be talking about it if you have any questions on it. I shouldn't have any questions. I didn't print those charts. Who did? The Economy Journal? Let's see. I don't know. We'll find that out for you. But it wasn't us. We took those numbers from somebody. Where did you get those numbers, Larry? They're from where?
This is from BLS Jobs Report.
BLS Jobs
Monthly Jobs Report through July.
Okay. Everybody has that. Everybody needs. The Democrats have abandoned the American people over the simple subject of politics. Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi are holding the American people hostage over money for their radical left-wing agenda that the country doesn't want and won't accept. For example, they've asked for a ridiculous $3.5 billion, that's billion, $3.5 billion for universal mail-in voting, a system riddled by fraud and corruption. You just look at what happened with the Carolyn Maloney race. They should do that race over, by the way. I think her opponent is right when he is having fits about that race. When you look at the ballots that are missing and the ballot frauds, nobody knows what's going on with that race, and yet they declared her a winner. So her opponent, I don't know what's happened over the last 24 hours, but her opponent is rightfully going a little bit crazy. And then you look at what happened in Virginia, where they have 500,000 applications sent out at random to people that have no idea what happened, and they admitted they made a mistake. And many were sent to dead people, many were sent to, number were sent, I guess two, that at least, 2, 3, 4, were sent to dogs. One was sent to a cat. They're sent all over the place. That was in Virginia and Paterson, New Jersey. They had a massive amount of voter fraud, and it's been a disaster. Paterson, New Jersey, it's been a total disaster. That's universal mail-in voting.
All right, so you've been watching live coverage of President Trump's briefing on the coronavirus pandemic. To continue watching, just head to our website at westernmassnews.com. And as the state releases new guidance for how schools should reopen in this fall, one local school committee is making the tough decision tonight. Western Mass News reporter Lindsay Kane joins us live in Chicopee with more. Lindsay?
Sarah, Chicopee school committee member says he's gotten more calls from parents of teachers than parents of students about how schools should reopen this fall.
We got to get to the point where we're bringing kids back in, but we need to look at that metric to see where we're at for cases.
As decision day for school districts' reopening plans get closer, the Chicopee School Committee is voting on their plan Wednesday night, just as a new model from the state shows how schools should continue learning.
Right now, Chicopee's yellow, so that's going to scare people into we don't want our kids in school.
This new map tracks COVID-19 data and based on the color recommends a learning model. According to the state, the towns here in yellow should have remote or hybrid learning. The city of Holyoke had originally planned for hybrid learning, but after this guidance came out, the school district announced Wednesday they will now move to a remote model to begin the year. But Chicopee School Committee member Donald Lamoth tells Western Mass News that he doesn't think the map will be a factor in the vote.
And if we were green, would it change everybody's mind? I don't think so. I think they're that scared.
He says his vote Wednesday night will go towards a phased-in approach, beginning remote with an end date and a plan to bring students back at some point.
There's a lot of special needs kids. There's a lot of career tech kids. You can't really learn how to be an electrician without doing hands-on. Some of these special needs kids have IEPs that we have to honor by state law.
And he says it's not just the parents of students who are voicing their concerns.
I've had more phone calls from teachers' parents than I have from teachers, which I found odd, but I guess they're concerned for their sons and daughters. So, yes, there is real fear out there.
He says he doesn't feel a fully remote learning plan is what's best, and it would send a ripple effect into the community.
Are we going to have layoffs? We're not going to need new mothers. We're not going to need crossing guards. We're not going to need bus drivers. It's going to affect the economy. It's going to affect a lot of people's lives. Doing remote, there's a lot of parents that have jobs. How do they stay home with their kids if they're working?
Now that school committee vote is happening soon. We'll bring you the latest on air and online as we know more. Live in Chicopee, Lindsay Kane, Western Mass News.
Thanks, Lindsay. State and local police are working to enforce Governor Charlie Baker's COVID-19 orders, limiting the size of outdoor gatherings and fining those who are not wearing a mask. Western Mass News reporter Priscilla Verde spoke with the president of the Police Chiefs Association about what they're doing.
The main goal of this is education and compliance. You know, fining is a last resort.
For police in Massachusetts, their focus is on public awareness when it comes to the latest COVID-19 orders from the governor. Western Mass News spoke to Hamden Police Chief Jeff Farnsworth, the president of the Massachusetts Chiefs of Police Association. He tells us the main goal for police officers is to talk to people and make sure they are aware of the new regulations before imposing any fines on residents or businesses. This coincides with what Governor Charlie Baker said on Tuesday.
To get people to either put on a mask, socially distance, abide by the rules, play by the rules. That would be goal number one here. No one's looking to arrest people and write citations unless people literally refuse to play by the rules associated with the orders.
Chief Farnsworth says as part of their efforts to promote education, each police vehicle is equipped with these packages that include 5 masks that police officers can hand out to the public.
We hand out the masks and just say, hey, you got to kind of be careful and you need a mask.
New gathering rules are in place across the Bay State as of Tuesday. Some of the new regulations include limiting outdoor gatherings to 50 people, fewer exceptions for residents hosting private parties, fines for people not wearing face masks, and new restrictions for restaurants serving alcohol. Farnsworth tells Western Mass News he is working alongside other state departments to make sure residents are adhering to the governor's orders.
The police departments are in a unique position because the Board of Health might not be around typically at 5, 6, 7, 9, 10 o'clock at night, where we find these things out, and we can document and provide information to the Board of Health to decide, what is appropriate. Is it just an education piece that needs to happen, or is it an ongoing issue?
In addition, a state-run intervention enforcement team will be overseeing some of the new regulations.
They go around and inspect businesses just through their normal course of, like DPH. They have inspectors that go out and inspect, sanitary codes, and ABCC has investigators that goes out and inspects, liquor license compliance.
Farnsworth says the new COVID-19 map is a good indicator that Western Mass is doing a good job with maintaining case numbers low. He emphasizes once again this is mainly about education, and these new rules will help the state get back to somewhat of a normalcy.
I think all of our goal is to get back to pre-COVID, and we will. And the better that we do the job now and help each other, the quicker that's going to happen.
For Western Mass News, I'm Briseida Landaverde.